need to go. And so if you want to know exactly where to go, you need to.
So you
use
just
that
found
psychometry.
the girl you were looking for. The reason why you came into the forest, basically.
Yep. So she's looking a little not so good. That's her friend that she was looking for. So not to spoil too many things, but essentially what we're seeing is Himino-san and her friend and their friends are going out to this body of water, this lake, to commit suicide. And what we find out is that Himino-san and her friend somehow survived, but presumably their friends did not.
It's so creepy. And I can see people just getting really absorbed in the story. You know, it's really dark. It's very emotional.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, you know, there's kind of like the ghost elements, like, ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
You know, I'm scared of horror games. This is fun. But there's a lot of pretty heavy stuff, especially since we're on this mountain, we're in this forest that deals so heavily with suicide. And we find out later on in the game, without spoiling too much, that this was basically a place that for a long time people would come to die, to kill themselves. And even back when the shrines were in use, you know, we would, like the shrine maidens, the priestesses who were there would basically kind of help people, watch people commit suicide.
Wow.
Yeah.
And not even from just a story perspective. Oh, God.
Oh, these guys aren't supposed to be here.
Oh. I didn't realize they could grab you. That's crazy.
Oh boy. Okay.
So not only from a story perspective, it's true survival horror. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a true survival horror game because one, it's creepy as hell, but two, you need to conserve ammo. You have different type of film that you can put in your camera.
Yeah. So there are different types of film, and right now I'm using the Type 14, and that's kind of like the second most powerful film. There's also Type 7. Oh, I missed my shutter chance. Oh, let's back up. I don't want to play with you.
So, yeah, and you can see you're having to turn your camera into kind of like a portrait view.
Yep.
To like get more of the ghost in the frame to do more
So you can see kind of like those circles that appear in the ghost.
Right, and those are
so
kind
you
of
want to get more of those in the
points you
frame.
need to-
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so let's head this way.
I mean, they did a really good job of making you feel like you're just lost in the woods.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I play this all the time. We
There's like-
played for
I know,
rehearsals,
there's
and I'm
like
still like, I don't remember where I'm
Paths
going.
going everywhere.
Oh, here are everyone's favorite kind of ghosts. Kids. Their story is pretty sad.
Oh my God.
They're also really hard to keep track of. I don't want to hug you. Yeah, the
They
kids
just
are
wanna- yeah.
hard to take down because they're not like, you know, they're not mean. They just
want to hug.
They just want a buddy. But they're really hard because they move really quickly and they're constantly moving.
Anytime you throw kids into a ghost game, like
Yeah.
it just
Yeah, they're like constantly
multiplies
running
the
around in
creepiness.
circles and, oh, here she comes. Oh, she's totally a goner. Kids don't have tons of health. Where'd they go? So those red triangles on the side of my screen when I'm turning. Oh,
you can
gosh.
kind of track where they are. He totally just wants a hug. Like
Yeah, he really does just want a hug, which
That's
is kind of
terrible.
sad. All right. Come here. All right, she should be. Oh, she's tricky. There we go. All right.
Oh.
Quit messing around.
I don't think I took a breath that whole time.
Yeah.
I think it's like Koei Tecmo is so good. I mean, they've been working on this series. There's a lot of fans, and like they've just gotten so good, and they get better and better at those little quietly terrifying moments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of really awesome ghost design in the game. There are some pretty spooky ladies.
It's a
Not to have
special
any
kind
spoilers.
of
And
horror.
pretty
It's
spooky
a special
dudes.
kind of horror and fear that they bring.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, there are some ghosts that will like jump out at you, but really that's not where a lot of the horror comes from. A lot of the horror comes from as you kind of uncover this mystery of like where people have gone on this mountain, why they come here to commit suicide, why it's almost like people seem to be drawn here in order to commit suicide. Maybe they don't want to commit suicide. Like, for example, here's my friend who seemed to have gone missing, and it's her camera obscura that I found in the beginning of this chapter. And so that's where a lot of the horror comes from.
And they have this kind of water theme going throughout the whole thing.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
tell, like, you know,
Yeah,
Maiden of
water
Black
is
Water,
a
why.
huge, huge element of Maiden of Blackwater and of Mount Hikami. All right. So there are actually two playable protagonists, or sorry, three in the game. There's two ladies and one dude. And you get to kind of experience the story through each of their eyes.
Oh, wow.
And eventually they kind of converge, and then they kind of separate, and then they converge again. So it's a really cool kind of melding of three different people's experiences on this mountain.
And it's
And
really
not
cool
only
how
that,
you
but
piece
each-
together the
sorry,
story
go
in
for it.
Fatal Frame games. Like
Yeah, yeah.
The cutscenes give you a really deep insight into certain parts. You collect these little, you're finding these different elements spread around that help you sort of piece the whole thing together.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there are multiple protagonists, and there are also different costumes for the
Yeah,
protagonists.
yeah,
that
yeah.
you'll
There's
unlock.
lots of unlockable costumes. So, you know, if you're a fan of old Fatal Frame games and you're like, man, you know, are there stuff to find? There's so many things, not just with the items, but with the costumes as well.
Right.
So while we were picking up our necklace, Himino-san disappeared, and we found her singing by a pool.
Oh, God. So that's your friend that you came to find. That's your friend that you came to find in the forest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one that you followed into the forest. But now she's gone. Was it a dream? Not quite a dream. So the first time I played this part, I completely lost it. And I was also still playing when there was Japanese text, so I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do. How do I get out of here?
So cool.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. So you can also press B to dodge attacks, which I don't think I did that in time, but that's okay. All right.
So you're waiting to get that fatal frame, waiting till she attacks.
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to get closer to her to kind of goad her into attacking me.
Oops.
Oh, dear.
Oh, you missed.
She got me.
Ow. That hurt a lot.
All right, all right. Quit messing around, Ellie. All right, so you can see that these head things are floating around. You want to get those in your frame as well so they don't rejoin with the ghost. All right, Shutter Chance is kind of like Fatal Frame. It does a lot of damage, but it's not necessarily when they're attacking. It's when kind of there's some other things that you need to fulfill, like maybe there needs to be a lot of things on screen, or there needs to be some kind of like action happening.
Gotcha. Oh, it's so creepy.
All right, where's she going? You can also target, so it's a little bit easier to keep track of them when you do that. Right now I'm targeting the knife. All right. Oh.
And obviously this is like a boss fight, so it's something that takes longer than, most fights.
Yep. So what's really cool too about the Fatal Frame is that when you wait for that and you keep pressing your shutter button, you can actually get more photos taken, because normally you have to wait for basically your film to reload between each picture. But when you're doing the Fatal Frame, just keep pressing, because you might get 3, 4, 5, 6 shots in.
And you can see you're getting points for all those different, like if you get a full body shot, you just got a Fatal Frame kill, which gives you even more bonus points.
Yep. So right
it's like
now,
a score attack element to it.
Yep. So right now we're seeing, we're basically doing a fatal glance on Himino-san and seeing what really happened to her.
Oh. Wow.
So now we see they're introduced to some new characters.
So there we obviously just saw that, this is the Suicide Force, but that was a spirit that took control of her.
Yeah. So now we are unlocking even more of this mystery, or maybe opening up more questions, right? Like, if this is a Suicide Forest where people kind of went when they wanted to commit suicide, why does it look like the ghosts on this mountain are forcing people to commit suicide?
Right.
So now it's going through a tutorial about the status effect that I mentioned earlier, where basically there's the wetness gauge, and that can be affected by things like rain, but you can also have a status effect by some ghosts, and they'll basically, it's something like black water. And okay, let's heal.
Good call.
And this black water, actually, I think I might be tainted right now, so let's use that. Pretty negatively affects you, so you'll start to lose health, lower defenses. So you want to heal that with those Sacred Embers, Purifying Flame. But those are not unlimited, so you can't just as soon as you fill up the wetness gauge, you can't just be like, oh, just use one of those. You only have so many, so you really need to be careful.
It's almost creepier too, playing on the gamepad, because you're basically looking through the camera's viewfinder on the gamepad.
Yeah.
But it's so much closer to your face that when the ghosts jump out, it's like right in your face.
Yeah, because if you're just watching on the TV, you're like, oh, that ghost is like 6 feet away from me. It can't get me. But when you're looking at the gamepad, you're like, this ghost is like 6 inches from my face.
I keep looking at the TV and reacting and looking over at you, and you're like doing all this crazy stuff.
Come here.
And the combat's actually really deep, because they're you need to kind of learn their patterns and her arm moves up, so that's when she's about to attack. So that's when you start taking pictures.
Yeah, and some ghosts, as you go along in the game, they get harder and harder to judge. Like, she moves really quickly when she's about to attack like that. And it took me, I actually died quite a few times the first time I played this, and this is just chapter 2. Because she did move so quickly, and she's really the first kind of super hard enemy in the game, but they get harder.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's intense.
Feeling pretty good about life?
I need to play with some puppies now or something.
Yeah. So now the only thing left is to escape Mount Hikami.
Yeah, and that's about all the time we have for that segment. I hope that